This is part three of our conversation about digital health solutions in the digital health space with an expert in the field, my friend Robin Hackney. If you go back to part two, you'll see a breakdown of these six sections that Robin just took us through. But Robin's now going to take us into some of the challenges for providers and technology companies in the space.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. So we could hold a whole 1 hour session on the challenges that healthcare faces. I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to spend all 10 minutes on that, but did want to give a quick overview of some of the common challenges that come up in digital health. So the first one kind of ties to the telehealth discussion we were having in the last session is access, and particularly limited access. So most digital health requires access to broadband technology, which isn't always available, particularly when we're talking about rural areas. There's also the perspective of limited access when it comes to digital literacy, and particularly digital health literacy. So it's sort of two lenses, but making sure that people actually have access to digital health, and that's relevant for providers and the patients themselves. So getting the access and getting the education is really important to overcoming that first challenge. The second key challenge has gotten a lot of news coverage, and that's staffing. And so we've seen real severe shortages in staffing in healthcare institutions, not just of the clinical providers, but the support staff as well. It was a rough couple of years. People got burned out, and there are lots of reports and studies on physician burnout, clinical staff burnout, and so really helping to make sure that those people are getting the support they need, they're getting paid at the levels that they need to get paid so that we can all get the services that we need when we go see the doctor. It's really important. So a lot of focus on the staffing. The third one is interoperability. And I mentioned about electronic health records, and that's sort of the central tenet of most technology in a healthcare provider's universe, and things need to plug into that. And so if you don't have interoperability and your, say, patient engagement solution doesn't plug into your electronic health record solution, then you're dealing with partial information. And so that's a challenge that we regularly have in our world, if you will. And so really making sure that we can get the systems talking to each other is a big focus. It has been for probably the last 10 years, and I don't think we're going to solve it in the next couple of years. So hopefully we'll continue to see progress as we go. On the flip side, a newer issue is AI. And it's an opportunity and it's an issue, but the pace of change of AI, the expectations that come with it, the interest in adopting AI and what it could potentially do, but the dangers that it could bring as well. That's a challenge that we in healthcare technology and more broadly in the healthcare arena are really looking to try and figure out, and how do we address this, and what safety guardrails do we need to put around so that we can adopt this fabulous new technology, but do so safely in a way that really continues to put patient health first. Data privacy and security. I mean, every industry is dealing with these issues, but in healthcare, we often think, oh, my money, that's the place that I'm most concerned when it comes to privacy and security. But if somebody steals your money from your bank account, you can replace that. If someone steals your identity through health data, that's really impossible to recover. There's things you can do, but it's a much steeper hill to climb. And so the protections we've got in place, there are numerous regulations in order to really help make sure that we're protecting data privacy and securing the information. And unfortunately, we see a lot more hacking activity and cybersecurity crime in the healthcare space. Not so much against digital health companies, but more so against the healthcare providers themselves, perhaps leveraging digital health companies as a pathway in. And then finally, regulatory and legal, because of all the things I've just hit on, there's always changes, always new laws that need to be complied with. So all of these make up a whole bunch of things that need to be dealt with in the healthcare technology space. So putting challenges aside, the other thing that you and I talked about a little bit are what are the key trends that are happening? So, what's next? If those 6 areas are kind of the big 6 healthcare technologies, what's next? And so not a lot of words on these slides unless you're trying to read the website in front of there on the screen, but rather just talking about 5 key areas of trends. And the first I'll mention is technology-enabled primary care. And so I just talked about difficulties in staffing. I talked about the introduction of AI. I haven't hit on it yet, but primary care, we have fewer and fewer primary care physicians out there. Those people who are choosing to become doctors are choosing to become specialists more and more. So if you extrapolate out, there's a massive potential shortage coming up. Ironically, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, want to make sure I get that group right, did a report, and they found that primary care is the only component of healthcare where increased supply is associated with better population health and more equitable outcomes. So often you can't have that add one here, get one output. Primary care physicians is a place where you can do that. And so finding a way to extend the capacity of primary care is really critical. And technology has the ability to do that. It can help connect the dots, can help automate clerical functions and routine functions, and reduce physician workload, which can then reduce physician burnout, which means that physicians might stay around a little bit longer, take care of things. So, really potentially expanding the capacity of our primary care staff.
In this scenario, it looks like they're really extending the visit from like a conversation about what your diagnosis might be to information about it that you can take with you and read at your leisure, so you're more educated about your health outcome. Just extrapolating from the chart, but I think I've got it.
Yeah, well, and I think there's so many different ways that we could tech enable primary care, but that's absolutely one of them, Peter. Second one, and I won't spend as long on this because there's been so much coverage, but in 2020, we really saw the broad recognition of health equity challenges. There's been so much news coverage of it. Even before the pandemic, there was discussion of social determinants of health. Is that a term that you're familiar with, Peter? Yeah. So SDOH is an acronym. Folks see really factors like economic stability, housing, education, access to healthcare. These are factors above and beyond someone's actual physical attributes and sickness and wellness that can really play a huge impact on someone's health. And so more and more focus on health equity is something that is trending, and I expect will continue to trend. In fact, ONC, which is one of the components of the federal government focused on healthcare, has actually instituted an equity by design requirement, if you will. It's not heavily monitored yet, but so I think that's really going to help us improve the health equity out here. So I'm excited about that.
Great.
Next up is consumer empowerment. And this kind of goes to the patient engagement discussion that I hit on. But we as individuals have expectations built from our various experiences. Think one-click ordering, food, our groceries, and our other shopping just showing up on our front doorstep, and all the personalization. We have those expectations, and healthcare has to keep pace. And so technology is moving along and contributing to increased transparency. I know this is what to expect with the bills afterwards. Personalized medicine, getting that one pill that includes all the medicines I need to take at any given time. The website and the tools to be able to leverage the communication with my doctor, wearables, all of those things really help with consumer empowerment. Sometimes you'll hear the consumerization of healthcare. That kind of ties to continuous care along with the idea of chronic conditions. So what's the stat? Almost 20% of our GDP is tied to chronic diseases in the US. So $37 trillion a year. And if we can take steps using technology to provide some continuous care, help people be aware of their conditions and actually improve and care for it, whether we're talking about concierge medicine, whether we're talking about virtual visits, remote patient monitoring, smart homes, those types of things will help reduce that impact on GDP, making health less expensive eventually, which could also help solve that primary care physician problem. So I'm really excited about the potential impact of continuous care.
Great.
And then finally, AI. And again, we could have a whole multiple series on AI. I'm just going to keep it super high level. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, large language models. There is a huge amount that AI can do for healthcare, and I see it coming. I don't see that you're going to use an AI substitute for your primary care physician in the immediate future, although some people will. But it allows us to analyze large amounts of information, identify trends to improve patient outcomes. It can be a gut check and a safety net. Obviously, there's a lot that needs to be done to handle it correctly, but a huge potential that AI brings to the table in so many different areas. So I know that was a super quick flyby, but that's what you go for here, Peter. So really appreciate the time with you and your audience to talk a little bit about digital health.
Thanks, Robin. It was really great, and we're letting this last one go a little long. I think that it is such an enormous part of what gets spent over the GDP of the country. As these trends click in, and there's ways to hopefully reduce stress on providers, reduce ER visits, maybe some of those big things. We possibly could see some reductions in that area of expense. So that would be, I think, great for our economy and great for our stress and our health overall. If we get a message on our phone, don't go to the ER, take a bath or take a cold shower, you'll be fine. Anyway, Robin, it's been great. I hope we get to revisit this in the future. I really enjoyed it, and thanks so much for preparing such a comprehensive view. I know the audience will get a lot out of it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Peter. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to hearing any feedback from the audience.